Hey guys and girls, welcome back. I'm Mrs. Slippy and I'm going to be taking you through this episode, so I hope you enjoy. At the beginning of the episode we see the plane carrying Lara and her mother, but before we go on board during the normal cutscene, let's take a look from the outside in. At this point there isn't a lot we could find in the back of the plane, but when we take the camera through to the cockpit we find there is slightly more detail, including the textures for the instrument panels and control levers. We can also see by getting closer to the lightning in the background that it's made up of several small textures all put together. Once the cutscene enters the plane, by spinning the camera around we can now see there is a lot more detail in the cockpit, and lucky us, we now have two pilots.
Yeti only look fierce. They probably don't like being so cold all the time. I shouldn't like it either.
You never have to be cold, my Lara, if you don't want to be.
Little Lara then notices something's not quite right outside the window, but what is it she's actually seeing? It turns out it's layers of orange coloured textures. Thankfully the plane isn't on fire like it first appeared. At this point I couldn't help but notice which window Lara looks through and where she appears to be in the next shot. Oh, and I guess the plane is on fire after all.
Are we going to crash?
When we move the camera outside of the plane just before it crashes, look who we can find standing underneath. It is of course Lara, all grown up and ready for action in the next scene.
Close your eyes, darling.
I don't want to close my eyes.
And it's not only Lara who's ready, I'm back to commentate on the rest of the video. I hope you enjoyed Mrs. Slippy's commentary. She was very nervous about doing that, but she enjoys playing Tomb Raider and just wanted to give commentary a go whilst I was making a video on it. Anyway, of course the first level is Bolivia, and I was looking around out here not really finding too much, and I was getting a bit panicky to be honest because I didn't think there'd be anything to show you guys. That is until I dropped way below the level, and check it out, we can find the interior of the plane that was in the previous cutscene with the pilots and Lara's mother in the classic T-pose. However, I'm not exactly sure what little Lara is doing and why she isn't in the T-pose like everybody else. It's almost as if she looks like she should be holding a teddy bear or something. And that's not all, because way over in the distance, through the skybox, I just about spotted the other plane, which is the exterior model of the plane looking like it's gonna crash, which would make sense even though we never really saw the exterior in the crash during the cutscene.
That sounded permanent.
Death by irony is always painful.
At the end of the level we have a cutscene that shows us what happens to Lara's mother, but yet again if we fly the camera just around the corner to where we wouldn't normally be able to see, we can find adult Lara. Did you ever notice that incredibly large teeth showing grin that Amanda has on her face while she's sat at the helicopter? Yeah, annoying, isn't it? But when I flew the camera over, it changes back to her normal smile. So maybe this could just be a simple texture flicker where her teeth are showing through the outside of her face, like it does here when I zoom in and out.
They don't seem quite so keen on visitors these days.
There wasn't too much to show that we don't see already in the first part of Peru, although it does bring me on to our first Easter egg. Simply kick this ball into the opening between the fences. I also managed to find a cool little glitch that you guys can try if you want to jump out of bounds. Just use one of the barrels close by to jump onto this rooftop. As well as out of bounds, it also allows you to skip the first section of the level, which could be pretty useful if there's anyone out there who likes to speedrun this game. Alright, so when we're chasing down the trucks, who is actually driving them? It turns out it's a sphere. Now, bit of a background story for you on this one. Obviously, when I'm filming these episodes, I have to replay certain parts over and over again, and I play the game for many hours to get the right shots. And this particular scene must have embedded into my subconscious, and I actually had a dream about this sphere chasing me down the street in a truck, trying to run me over. The things I go through to bring you these episodes, guys, it's astonishing. Anyway, check this out. So, when we enter the tomb in Peru as younger Lara, if we use a cheat to make Lara fly, we can go back up out of the opening we entered, and everything we saw in the cutscene is still up here. Now, if we continue the level from this point when we should be older Lara, because the game is now out of sync, we can have some fun with the cutscenes loading at the wrong times, but I'll let you try this out for yourselves if you want to. With the game now back in sync, let's carry on taking a look at how some of Lara's friends ended up having a bit of a nightmare exploration of this tomb, albeit from angles you wouldn't normally see.
Wait! Kent!
It's her!
Wait! Kent!
At the start of the level in Japan, we have a meeting with Nishimura in his office, and I was curious to know if he disappeared once we left the room, but it turns out he doesn't. In fact, he stands waiting behind his door until after the next gunfight with Takamoto's men. Very sensible. And you've got to love his X-ray glasses. At this point we see some civilians running up the stairs, but where do they go once they're out of camera shot? Well, it turns out Mr. Kent was at the same party as Lara all along. Fancy that. But I guess he isn't willing to help her fight Takamoto's men.
This is it, all right.
Did you see what it can do?
Yes, Alistair, I did.
Did you see what it can do?
Yes, Alistair, I did. Absolutely. Africa is among my favourite continents. If all else fails, I can get into the postcard business.
As far as West Africa goes, there wasn't too much that I wanted to show in the video that you probably wouldn't already know from playing the level yourself, but it was cool to take a quick look above the waterfalls to see down on the start of the level. Lara's expression says it all. A spike through the buttock is not recommended.
Now, Lara.
Ouch! And always remember to pull your parachute. You may remember a large section of this level involved chasing a train, and every now and again the train goes into a tunnel. If we go inside the tunnel, we can see how the train swaps over as we're moving along the level on our bike, just to the right of the screen, which I thought was quite interesting how the developers did this. Alright, so during the finale of the level, something I spotted is this mystery box floating near the top of the room. Now, these boxes are often used in game development for things like trigger points or something to happen. However, it's not often we find them just blatantly visible inside of the map. They're normally hidden away in places we don't get to see, or they're not visible. So it's strange for the developers to leave this floating here.
Did Alistair have any luck with maps?
You're not going to believe where this leads.
And take a look at this awesome optical illusion of the pipe that Lara crawls down at the end of the cutscene. I'd say that's going to be a pretty tight fit. During the first cutscene in England, something didn't seem quite right to me in this particular shot, and then I noticed the wall in the background seems to go missing. And there's a good reason why it seems to go missing. It's because it does. The wall just stops, whether you like it or not.
You sure about that map?
Unfortunately, there was some nonsense about the discovery of the real King Arthur's tomb here years ago.
We can also find another one of those boxes that we saw earlier on this level, although this is hidden slightly better as it's outside the back of the map. And if any of you hardcore game designers out there want to have a go at explaining what this could be here for, you'll probably do a much better job at explaining this than what I can, so please feel free to leave a comment. Now, as we go through this level, we come to this warehouse section, and through the roller shutter doors we can find the van and Lara's motorcycle outside, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that Alistair and Zip aren't inside, but they are. Why would they be? I don't know, but they actually are there. They're just hiding inside the seats. This level also holds the second Easter egg that I'm gonna show you, and it's fairly well hidden, which makes it quite cool to see if you've not seen it before, so definitely check this out for yourselves. Come over to this part of the tomb and take a look at the text inscribed into the wall. If I flip the screen around, it might make it a bit clearer as to what it says. I do love little Easter eggs like this one. With regards to the sea monster, I actually did an episode not too long ago covering this whole thing, so if you'd like to see this mini episode, be sure to check out the description and I will leave a link in there. During the level in Nepal, we see a helicopter fly over the top of the mountains and head off over into the distance. Just in case you wanted to know where it went, then here it is.
You think he's in there?
I doubt it. Not when he could be at home with his feet.
Also, there's a strange little glitch you can make happen on this level. After the aeroplane falls over the edge, come back towards this pit. Now, it's not often I'll ask you to do this on a game, but you need to jump into the pit, which of course means killing Lara on purpose. Once you've done this and the game's loaded up, head back over to where the plane falls over the edge, and now take a look at the mountain almost dead ahead. You may notice some objects have appeared. For some reason, Lara's binoculars and the section of relic seems to now float in front of this location. There wasn't too much I wanted to look at during the last level when we returned to Bolivia. The end cutscene is also pretty much best seen from the normal camera angles, with nothing hidden that I could find. So I guess the last thing I wanted to do was explore Croft Manor. Now, most of Croft Manor in this game is indoors. The only outdoor section is this one with the gates on either side. And to be honest, as you may have guessed, there isn't too much on the other sides of the gates, but I guess it's nice to know that we aren't missing much by not being able to pass through them. So last but not least in this episode, let's take the camera away from the title screen and we can see how during the title screen Lara is floating way above the map. This is also the case after you complete the game and the title screen turns to the last level of Bolivia. So that is it for this episode, guys. I seriously hope you've enjoyed it. There were so many technical difficulties I had during this episode. You may have even noticed some of them. It was a real struggle to film it, but we got there in the end. So thank you for watching. Again, I hope you enjoyed Mrs. Slippy's commentary in the beginning. She puts up with me spending a lot of time on these videos and she wanted to get involved with this one and see what it's all about, which is awesome. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next one soon. So until then, as always, take care, guys.